player in basketball as of this moment to make his decision. The wait continues for Kawhi Leonard to make his free agent choice between the Raptors, the Lakers, and the Clippers. Last night, freshly re-signed Clipper Patrick Beverley was on with SVP talking about Kawhi.
Trying to see, where this Kawhi Leonard thing goes, rumors, whatever that, you can't really control that. But
what do you hear?
I mean, I hear Clippers. I haven't looked in a while. What do you hear?
Well, I mean, there's internet people, and then there's this guy and that guy and the other guy. Like, who knows who any of these people are, man?
Well, good for him. Wherever he decides to go, good for him. If it's with us, then it's on. Yeah, it's on. But if it's not, then, then it's still on.
Somehow I think with Patrick Beverley, it's always on, regardless of the circumstances. And then this guy is still on. He's working on his 40th consecutive hour without sleep. The one and only Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, what can you tell us as of this moment about the very latest with Kawhi in terms of his schedule, meetings, and whatever we know about his plans?
Well, his plan all along was to allow Toronto to go last. They would get the final word with Kawhi Leonard as a courtesy to them. I think the respect he has for the organization and winning a championship there, that they'll get a chance to close with him. And he's out in Los Angeles this week, and his plan was to meet with the Clippers, the Lakers. And, those two teams are, holding on to their salary cap space, watching other players go off the board and waiting, for Kawhi Leonard to make a decision. I'm told he's very much has a willingness to play it out this week, take time to think, and that there's a possibility there may not be a decision until later in the week.
Because there isn't really a rush from his side, obviously. And let's talk for a moment then, if we can, quickly about the Lakers and Clippers. You say they're holding on to their salary cap space, and at this point they might as well, right? Because almost all of the other players they would have been interested in have gone off the board so quickly.
Yeah, like the money that you're going to spend on a player now is probably going to be on a short deal. If either team, whichever team doesn't get them, they're going to want to be back in free agency next year. They're probably not going to take on long-term contracts. But I think, you look at the Lakers and, they see a player like Seth Curry go off the board, 4 years, $32 million in Dallas. That contract may have not been there for him with the Lakers if they want to keep trying to preserve salary cap space, even if it's to push it back into next year.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, stay with me a minute here. We have more we want to get to from you, but let me take this to the table for the first time this morning, and let's talk about Kawhi here. And it's part speculation and part looking at the circumstances. Sean, if you look, does he bring a championship with him wherever he goes? In your mind, Toronto, Clippers, Lakers, wherever Kawhi goes, does that team, in your view, become the favorite?
I think if he goes to the Lakers, yes. I think if he goes back to Toronto, they're in the discussion point. I think if he's with the Clippers, they've got some work to do to be at a championship level, because the roster that he would have around him with the Clippers would be the worst of the three rosters that he could play with. Yet it would be mostly about him and him being the star and the centerpiece to try to get it to a championship level.
Jacoby, it feels sometimes with Kawhi as though everyone is basically guessing, but I know you have a very firm belief at what you think he's going to do.
I do. I think that this delay, he doesn't come out and say anything. It's Kawhi Leonard. He says nothing. But he's in Los Angeles, okay? That says something to me. He hasn't made a decision, although all the other free agents made their decisions very quickly. That says something to me. If he was going to go back to Toronto, he knows the system. He knows the head coach. He knows the city. What are they going to say in the pitch that he doesn't already know? What new information are they going to give him? If he was going to make that decision, he has all the information he needs to have already made it. So the longer it plays out, the longer he stays in Los Angeles, the longer it makes me believe he's going to stay in Los Angeles with the Lakers.
So what you're suggesting is the timing of this leads you to believe he's going to the Lakers, which has been widely speculated in a variety of places. And if so, would you be surprised by that? Knowing what we know of Kawhi, to make that decision, to team up with those two guys, I will admit it will surprise me if he does it. It will not surprise you.
It will not surprise me because I watched him carry this Toronto Raptors team through the playoffs. I watched him put the team on his back, hobbled on one leg. He brought this championship without the help that he would have with the Lakers. I think that, is enticing to him.
Look, his championship legacy is already cemented, right? But I think you have to also look at the makeup of who Kawhi Leonard is. And I've known Kawhi since he's 16 years old. He played at Riverside King High School. He knocked off the McDonald's All-American team that was modern day in the Southern Section Championships in Southern California. He went to San Diego State when he could have gone to UCLA as they jumped in the recruiting world late. He's always been that guy that's wanted to lead the team. And if he goes to LA, it would be the first time in his career, really, where he didn't make a move that he could make where he was the leader of the team.
I will wait and see. And again, you just heard Woj say it might take a little while. Now, we have Tim Bontemps with us over on our other set with Laura this morning, who was around Kawhi and the Raptors a lot this year. Laura, pick it up from there.
Yeah, as Greeny just said, Tim, we heard Woj say the Raptors, still the plan is for them to get the last meeting with Kawhi. What does that say about the Raptors' chances in your mind?
Well, look, I think the Raptors are going to go into this feeling the same way they did over the past couple months, right? That over the course of this season, they did everything they could to convince Kawhi this was the place for him to be. They built trust with the medical staff. They built trust with Coach Nick Nurse. They built trust with the front office, the way they got Marc Gasol, right? They went out and built a team that could win a title. Kawhi then went out and did it. They went and had the celebratory parade here that we're seeing now. And, going into the free agency period here, they are going to get the last meeting. At least that's the plan, as Adrian said. And they feel good about their chances to go say to him, hey, this is where you should be.
Yeah, it's hard not to read some of the tea leaves. You've seen Kawhi in the Blue Jays jersey. We've seen other things as well, so who knows exactly. But when you think about a contract scenario as it relates specifically to the Raptors, what do you think could be most likely for him?
Honestly, I think you can't rule anything out.
Yeah.
You could do a 1+1, right, where he'd get a chance to go back in the market next summer. He could do a 2+1, where he'd get a chance to go in 2 years when he'd be eligible for the biggest 10-year plus max salary. Or he could sign the 5-year max this summer. He'd get the absolute most amount of money he could for a guy who missed almost all of last season with injuries, right? So really it's going to be, I think, up to him to say, what do you want, Kawhi, from Toronto's perspective? And whatever he chooses, they'll be happy to give him.
Yeah, you got to think at the end of the day, Masai Ujiri is so important here. We continue to remain on Kawhi watch, but let's get back to the